I'm going on another road trip and I'm moving to Hello, welcome. How are you? I hope you are well. Whoever you are, all of you, I hope you are all well. Surely, and I hope this brings wellness. Welcome to my wellness community. This is a wellness community. We specialize in energy healing and astrology. If you want your birth chart read, hit me up. Okay. Jokes aside, I'm on a mission. My mission. The recording is so crazy.
Yeah, because when you're recording something, it's like you're talking to another person. And in this case, we're not even in the same room or the same state. So we're talking to each other on Zoom, which we're not quite making eye contact because I can't quite tell where your eyes are. And at the same time, we realize our computer cameras are trained on us, which, putting a camera on a person changes their behavior, even subtly, because there's a little bit of a performance. And then potentially, either no one or like millions of people could see this on the internet, so, it's like,
Yes.
it gets into these, I see you, seeing me, seeing myself, seeing you back out, seeing your
Yes.
camera, seeing the audience who's coming back in, watching me, seeing you, and then back the other way, it's kind of crazy. So,
It is pretty crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. And I'm of the belief that like there are spiritual forces like behind these technologies in a sense,
yeah,
So it's like everyone knows that the phones are kind of listening to us, right? And then but I believe that kind of like all of these technologies are connected to like basically like Ahriman, or like that the system of the beast and the beast is like a real spiritual being or something, and like it's like the Eye of Sauron.
this is a kind of part of its body. It's like fat storage for artificial intelligence or something.
But nonetheless, I really think that there's something about it, like where if you can enter that self-forgetfulness, I always cover my face. It kind of helps me with that aspect. TLC and stuff, it can like demonstrate the type of conversation that people could be having. It's like you find yourself overhearing things that you wouldn't normally hear in.
I mean, I think it gives people a taste. I think TLC has the problem of the cameras trained on the conversations and the potential for, knowing that people might see it, or maybe their channel will pick up in numbers. And it's always going to be a little bit different when they know there's a camera recording it and then putting it on the internet.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like, how do you enter into the mode of self-forgetfulness where you're like kind of, or
Yeah, I mean, but
camera forgetfulness?
the best estuary group I've ever been in was at South Estuary, and it was like everyone just opened up their heart. But we would not have done it had it been live on the internet. We wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
I'm convinced. Maybe one or two of us would have been willing to, but it'd be like, no, not with that camera. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
A person that's watching on YouTube might say, I might want to go to one of these estuary conferences, see what it's all about. So I don't see it as a bad thing. It's just you're not going to get the same experience with an unrecorded group.
Yeah.
You're going to get with that same group being recorded and live.
Yeah, and I think that's the key distinction, where if TLC, like, in the same way that like an idol is something that stops at itself, You know, it's like it has to connect to the real, you know, which is like that
Yeah,
which is kind of
because it
beyond.
doesn't have anything higher to connect to. You
Yeah,
know,
so it's like,
it's just the thing in itself, and I like a literally like a physical idol is just a block of gold or what have you. You know, a golden calf.
yeah.
On the one hand, I'm representing something, so it's not the thing. But what I'm doing in representing it is helping you see it,
Mhm.
and of pointing you towards its unity. That's why it's framed. That's why it's in a square, and it's contained, because
It's like a microcosm, isn't it?
exactly.
That box is actually the cosmos for that state. So everything must harmonize with the frame. So the frame is the symbol of the entirety, the unity.
And so that's why I like TLC, is because it is strongly associated with estuary. I mean, I like TLC for other reasons too, but I'm on a mission. My mission. The recording is so crazy. Hello. I'm on a mission. I should cover my face. Okay. 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 Back to reality. Hello. I'm on a mission to get Sofia out of exile. Sofia is in exile at the moment. And if you know about I don't know how to say this without sounding super Sagittarius and arrogant. If you know about the nature of reality and the symbolic structure that underlies it or something like that, you understand that. Okay, I'm kind of just messing around here. Let me be for real about this with y'all. Okay, I'm on a mission, all right? Listen up. Okay, so basically, oh gosh, I'm just trying to once again get this. Okay, all right. Holy mackerel, oh my goodness, I'm still trying to get this. Okay, it's because I have this thing covering my face. Okay. Oh god, this is... Okay, stick with me here. I just, I'm not great with the digital interactions, alright? I'm figuring it out, but, and I have a performative habit already, but I'm trying to be real with y'all here, alright? Beard hair. Alright. For fuck's sake, the cosmogram. Alright. Listen up. This is an important image, alright? So here, this line right here, okay? This line right here, okay? You can kind of think about everything to the right of this line as like the masculine, right? The masculine, makes sense? This part. And this is like the feminine, okay? And here, you can notice that more of the feminine is down here. Okay, and if you recall in the video where this was posted, there was a poem that came with it, and it says,
Lo the Father enthroned on high, and from him all the world proceeds. Lo the void, the womb below, and to her all the world is given.
Okay, and this has to do with how this is kind of a universalistic, all-encompassing, such that the Ouroboros here has a place and it serves a function. Okay, this is like how in Job. Gosh, this is really getting long-winded. I'm gonna get around to the point eventually. I should really like plan these out. I should make like notes and stuff. There's so much. There's so much. Okay, so basically my point is that the Ouroboros is kind of like, this is the snake in the garden, by the way. This is like, you know, this is the one that Matthew Peugeot is talking about. And
How does it get in the garden? Or I'm just trying to think about why.
there's a thing where it is,
What is there a
Yeah,
purpose to Satan?
Yeah, there's a purpose.
I don't know how to say this. Like, it should, I hope this makes sense, that
It's to test. It's the tester.
the only reason this snake is bad is because we have demonized the divine feminine, all right? And that when we when we relate with the divine feminine, or when we include it in the picture, you know, where you have Mary, okay, and Sophia, and Mary's like an incarnation of Sophia. Okay, something like that. Something like that. Alright? Something like that, for fuck's sake. You don't have to be so nitpickery or up around the... You know, it's important, but you get what I'm trying to say, right? Which is that when we... Gosh, I hope you get what I'm trying to say. Which is that this is the land of exile down here, alright? And when... Fuck. It's so hard to describe. Alright. The fallen feminine is like Arma, and when it gets extremely fallen, then it becomes like this, okay? And it's like the forces of death that are described by Matthew Peugeot. However, if you were following the stuff that I was saying about eurythmy and the garments of skin, you understand how even death has a place in the picture, and even this snake, and even physicality, like the physical body, has been redeemed and now participates. And even the digital technologies and stuff, and this is like the pattern of the temple and the ark, alright? And such. Hopefully this is making sense. Okay.
To test things, to know the boundaries of things, okay?
And we have to open the circle. There has to be Sabbath. There has to be rest. Yeah, you know, maybe I'm biting off more than I can chew. This is a big mission, but we must end this materialistic trend. It's serious stuff, y'all. Like, we're in a... I don't know how to... Okay, so... I don't know if that made sense to any of y'all. I don't know if that... what I said there makes sense, so I'm gonna elaborate just a bit more, which is... It's that... You know, I mentioned self-forgetfulness. However... It's interesting that, like, for example, Gurdjieff talked about self-remembering, right? This is different. This is the opposite of self-forgetfulness. And there's a thing with the fall where we become self-conscious. Yeah? I'm gonna sit down. Hello. They become self-conscious, right? So the end of the fall, it's not going back to unself-consciousness. It's going through and becoming more self-conscious in a way, which is that, and this relates to eurythmy and technology insofar as my language right now, I can be aware of how I'm coming across, you know, and I could be like, oh, I have to hide. Or you can live into that in a creative and artful way where I'm like adjusting to the audience and kind of it's doing something that's not quite your natural self. So this is where it's like, you know how Peugeot talked about actors.
The power of formlessness is given to him in his role of actor, and now for him it's good to lie, but it's not. We don't consider it bad, see, because
This is what you do with a child. You know, like with a child, you have to adjust to them, and you're not going to just be yourself. Like a mother, for example, has to kind of adjust to the child, right? Hopefully you're seeing what I'm getting at here, is that like the garments of skin, they can become expressions and pointers and steps to the truth, just like the digital. You know, we could get stuck in a matrix, a simulation of reality, or it can point us to real IRL embodied community, you know, which is what the beast does not want, you know? So right now we're basically stuck in a fallen feminine and exile. It's Ahriman versus Sophia, you know, it's like, I don't know, you know, later in the video we'll elaborate on this. On with the video. I don't know if that made sense to any of y'all, but the point is that I want to do the Holy Grail thing, the Age of Aquarius, the Fellowship of the Ring, the Fellowship of Eurythmy, or something, which is embodied. It's like estuary, you know, and bringing it around here. All that being said, here I should have said this at the beginning. Maybe I'll like splice it. I'm going on another road trip, and I'm moving to North Carolina, and I'm excited to see all of anyone in person. It's gonna be great, and so if you're along the way from Connecticut to North Carolina, I'm actually gonna go to Tennessee for a bit to hang out with Jacob. Shout out Jacob. I'm gonna put in a clip right here of me talking with Jacob. Bang! I would not be, you know, insofar as I can call myself a Christian, it is because of my psychedelic experiences, you know, very directly, you know, so I just feel like I kind of have to stand up for them in that regard, you know, and yeah, and also like the priests, you know, I think a true priest is someone who has mystical experiences and like is mediating the spiritual world to their parishioners in a sense, you know, like this kind of fatherly top down connecting from heaven. And I think there are probably a lot of priests who have a more propositional or kind of like, there's something beautiful about I don't know if the simple faith would be a way to describe it, where like you kind of go with this stuff because it makes intellectual sense and stuff, but I really think the heart of it is the mystical, even erotic is maybe a word I would use, encounter with God, like the, you know, the presence of God. And so I feel like, and even like as I mentioned, I had this vision of the cube and stuff, and I think it's directly related to, I think it was essentially like God trying to communicate this pattern about the New Jerusalem to me and like the garments of skin and such, but like I didn't have the context to understand it. It took me a long time to like understand it, you know, but I think that a lot of priests could probably understand, and like I don't think the age of revelation is over, you know. I still think that like there are things to learn about the nature of God and Christ and reality and such, where, you know, like I'm not trying to say we should do it all the time or anything, but I think that it's probably a good idea to like every once in a while just have your ego kind of checked pretty hard. It's like, because that's what it's like. I don't remember if you had said that you had ever done them or not, but
I have.
okay, yeah, and it's I think it can be very good to like kind of break up, because how I think about it is that there's a habitualizing side, and then there's an opening side, and like a dehabitualizing, I guess you could say. And then we need both of these extremes, and like so when we get stuck in our stories about who we are, like the ego, like I said, with the moon and stuff, we need that encounter with the numinous and the beautiful to open us up to a new way of being, and I think that that could be good for a lot of priests. Not to throw shade at the priests, but yeah, I think that's just another point, I suppose. Yeah.
Um, I, I don't think you'll find me much in disagreement. If I can make a defense of the church, and I imagine you've probably heard some like harsh condemnations of these things from someone in the church. That wouldn't surprise me. But my defense would be the church is a normative thing, and part of her mission is to provide like the norm that we should live into, and probably for most people it's not something they need to or should be doing.
I think the way that I would probably frame it is kind of like what I said about like it would be good for materialists,
right?
And
there's a pastoral element to this, which I think is where the nuance comes in.
Yeah.
On how the church moves with respect to these things, because it's not foreign either. It's just not very common. Like one of the most Christian people, he used to go to my parish, he doesn't anymore, but one of the most like devout and one of these people who's like fully in on submitting to the normative authority of the church in all respects that he can manage. Still, like I heard from him a little while ago that he was interested in trying ayahuasca because he read from, I think it was a Catholic fellow who like went into these places in like the Amazon and learned to do medicine in the native way, because that's like how medicine has been done historically. It's like you use the resources accessible to you, and one of these things is ayahuasca. And so it's like not shying away from these sorts of things, but understanding like their proper use.
Yeah, that's really the key. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But also normatively, like I don't think the church can be like, well, it's all right.
Yeah, no, I really don't think that. Yeah, and in this regard, I definitely think that it would be, you have to be very, like, I don't think it would, I would never like
you have to know a person real well to be like, you could try it, you in the right context.
Yeah, so that's one aspect, and then maybe like the thing I said about the priests, like just having a more visceral or like encounter with the spiritual.
Like interrupting, but I would caution humility in this respect, because the things a priest is doing, like in the services, in sacraments, like I can't help but think that's like a psychedelic experience.
Yeah. No, I can definitely see that, and yeah, there's lots of experiences that could be termed psychedelic and stuff. I don't know though. I do, like I think that there used to be more of an opponent processing relationship between the churches and the monasteries, where the monasteries would be having this real encounter with God, and they would kind of like, like update each other a bit, and I think there's something going on there. Like the way that Steiner talked about it was like he talked about spiritual science, and that like that there should be people who are really making that their priority, is kind of like this investigation into the spiritual and stuff, like, and then that, like, I guess one thing is that I think that I'm not big on how all the readings are from the Bible, like I'm not trying to throw shade at the Bible, but I do think that like it can't just be an influence from the past. We have to see like how God is trying to call us into the future in a particular way or something, and the future is also like heaven in a sense, I think. So it's like, I don't know, but again, I'm not trying to throw shade. These are just some of my kind of personal gripes, I don't know.
It's perceived faith. I don't perceive you as like making attacks or something, and so feel like comfortable in that, I guess. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, no, I fully agree on like the monastic thing, and like I really want to see monasteries in every city, all throughout.
Okay, so I don't know what clip I will put in, but you have watched the clip now. I hope you liked the clip. Hope you liked my music selection. Everyone has a fucking take on my music selection. Okay. So yes, shout out to my friends in PA and the DC area and North Carolina. Shout out McMo and Dave and others. There's many people who I hope to visit along the way, and who I hope to collaborate with in North Carolina. Here's my vision, all right? Here's my Sagittarian crazy idealist vision, which brings me around to the title of this video, which I have just thought of, which is a cry for help, a call for help. This is a cry for help. Here's my vision. To get Sophia out of exile and to ultimately, I intend to immanentize the eschaton, aka the New Jerusalem, aka the Second Coming of Christ, aka the return of spiritual vision and the end of the fall through the redemption of technology and the garments of skin, etc. And this will be done through example and like hoping that some people follow these. I'm not gonna joke around here where, of course I play only a small part in this long process of human evolution, and if I have any contribution, surely I will have some contribution. So I'm just hoping that it's better than worse. Who knows, maybe I won't be able to, do the whole I'm being a bit glib and joking about this, but this is, the ultimate, how I see it playing in. Let me cover my face skin here, this whack. craziness. In person. Okay, the system of the beast is fallen feminine. We need in-person community, eye contact, real spiritual fellowship in a way that the churches do also do this, but there's a whole thing about how we need the church is like the bride of Christ. It's this side, but we need this side as well. And the TLC is kind of doing this side, and the estuary is like the thing between. The estuary is where the actual Christ is happening. The estuary is where the actual Christ is happening, people, all right? And it's beautiful. And so my intention is to start something of like a estuary, I might not, I don't know if I have permission to use the estuary title and stuff, but perhaps I will and perhaps I will not. And something of like a dedicated space, all right, and it may also serve as like a small restaurant / coffee bar. And here in this place, I envision there will be people hanging out during the day, having conversations kind of like the French intellectuals. There will be also various regular meeting groups, all right? I realize, so this is my grand vision, all right? And this is a call for help, where we will have various meeting groups of various sorts. For instance, let's say reading groups, workout groups, discussion groups, practices, jam sessions, live streaming, kind of like the Luke Thompson live streams, okay? Except I envision this as like, imagine this. Imagine Luke Thompson was in a place where people are hanging out, and then they could come when he opens the stream. That's like people come and they're actually on the couch or like around a table, and it's totally different in person. It's totally different. You have all sorts of different dynamics going on. The physical body, when the physical body gets involved. This is the super cult, as you may recall from, but it will not be a sex cult, and it will not be an anti-Christian cult. It will not be a cult of Jonathan. It will be a wonderful thing, all right? I realize there's a lot of ways this could go wrong, and obviously the money aspect is an aspect which could go wrong. And that is indeed part of my call for help. I'm looking for donors. However, I'm also looking for collaborators. And this could also be a space where you host small estuary conferences. There will be estuary meetings there, and also in local places. And there will also be lectures / speaker events. Hello. Welcome to the Sagittarian brain, Jonathan, an idealist. Steiner talked about the spiritual idealism, the type of this kind of anthroposophical community which would balance the cultists, and then the estuary aspect. I'm trying to do basically the redemption of Lucifer in order to get Sophia out of exile. My dad is sneezing downstairs. Bless you. Bless you, Father. And, also, of course, we're trying to get God the Father back here. We're trying to undo the death of God.
The reign of quantity, which is a much deeper, much more metaphysical analysis of modernity. And what Guénon identifies is that whilst everyone thinks that modernity is a is a positive project, modernity is a positive project, is a project of building the machines and taking control and expanding our domination over things, over reality. What Guénon shows is that actually the modern project is a purely negative project. It is a project of negation. It is a project of supplanting our entire received, inherited tradition, not only an abstract tradition, but a tradition of intuitions, of instincts, of habits, of mores, of material culture, of architectural forms, of all of the ways in which we have striven to become fully human. All of that is being replaced with an obsession over the accumulation of stuff and the absolute privileging of efficiency over contemplation. And that actually this process, whilst we think it's an ongoing process of emancipation, it's actually going to turn out to be the thing that will enslave us. And what's so amazing about Guénon is that he frames the entire modern project within the classical realist, or if you like, Thomistic, principles of act and potency. Because what he sees is that as we are becoming more and more enmeshed in our materialism, for the classical mind, what matter is simply a principle of pure potentiality in receipt of substantial form that actuates it into the corporeal realities with which we're surrounded. So actually the only, if you like, here's a provocative way of putting it, the only reason for matter is as a conduit to convey to us the divine ideas of God that are imitated by the substantial forms that matter receives. So when we see all of reality in terms of matter, we see all of reality in terms of the principle of pure potentiality, which is another way of saying that our entire understanding of reality tends or inclines towards non-being.
We're becoming less real.
Yeah, we're becoming less real, which is why, of course, and he foresaw this, we would ultimately end up taking refuge in pure abstractions, and then we would end up just tormenting the entire world in a realm of ideological squabbling, right? Which is what we're now all imprisoned inside. But what Guénon realizes is that it's simply superficial to think that modernity is just morally nihilistic. It's metaphysically nihilistic. At the level of ontology, the entire modern project is privileging the principle of pure potentiality.
And in Christian terms, this is like pure earth, like just the pure multiplicity of earth without heaven. And this pure earth, a Deleuzian sort of thing, does relate to the question of technology, because technology is properly used. It is the joining of heaven and earth.
And so what Guénon does, and this is why
we're trying to get God the Father back here. We're trying to undo the death of God, talked about by Nietzsche. We want to, go through the bottom and out the next side. Okay, if you think about evolution going like this, okay, then you have a split. Some people go back now with the Christ, okay, and other people go into the machine and it sucks for them. You know, this is like bless you again, Father. This is like the eighth sphere spoken about by Steiner can also be it's not good. You don't want to be part of the eighth sphere, and like the kind of you don't want to get left behind in evolution, you know. I'm a universalist. I believe that everyone already is saved. You know, or there's like or that hell is like a purgatory type of thing, you know, like a transformative fire. And trust me, I know I've been there. And you know, it's basically you're only there insofar as you're kind of resisting. It's like the Ouroboros. You know, it's like exile. But really, if you open yourself to, you know, but you can get stuck. Anyway. What was the point there? Yes, we're trying to get the thing working properly with the masculine and feminine and all that. So yes, if this crazy, as you can tell, I'm a bit Luciferic and like heavenly minded. You know, I'm looking for some practically minded people as well to do this with. So yeah, if you live in North Carolina and I'm thinking of like somewhere in the River Arts District in Asheville. Yeah, there's something about that. You know, it's like
I pulled up a map of North Carolina.
Looking at Asheville to hopefully start like a community center of sorts, or like a kind of dedicated estuary space where like people can hang out during the day, and maybe there's like a coffee bar and like a gallery where people can show their art, and like we can host events and weekly meetings of various sorts and like speakers. And this is my vision, you know, and yeah, I'm very hopeful and optimistic, and I'm excited to work with Dave. He could be a CIA agent, but I get the impression that he's a cool dude, and that we have a lot of resonance. And
I don't have anything against CIA agents either. I think we've had this conversation. I
mean, you know, you gotta love them, you know?
Yeah. There was I try to see things. I saw some, I could talk about my travels, psychedelic travels through YouTube in the last few months, but there was one where there was some guy out of Central Command, Florida, who was on like Fox News, and he had a mask on. I think it's cool to be able to try to see the one with give people the most benefit of the doubt. You can see the one where it's like the most evil person in the world. You know, I like being able to try to practice seeing multiple interpretations of things. But it looked like a mask. If we didn't have that previous experience, you're a complete stranger otherwise, right? So you're gonna do it.
Somewhere in the River Arts District in Asheville. Plans are still kind of in flux, but whether there or elsewhere, it seems that's probably pretty sure where I'm going to be ending up. But also perhaps like, okay, then there's like a whole nother aspect of this where I'm trying to do like nature-y things, and like, so there might also be an additional location where you have a more homesteady, camp outy type of vibe. Preferably in a high altitude in case of like flooding. For as you know, the River Arts District does flood occasionally. It could like unlock the crust, as it were, and that it would rotate
I just.
But I'm more concerned about the the metaphysical flood that we are in. The one that Peterson is also trying to respond to with the whole arc thing. So I don't know how that's going. I don't know if these wealthy people at ARC are actually doing anything good or not. I'm a big, shout out Peterson. I feel like everyone in TLC kind of has an interesting take on Peterson. He said he was going to do the Tao Te Ching after he did Exodus. I'm going to find that clip and I'm going to post it, all right? He said he was going to talk about the Tao Te Ching after Exodus.
And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. Okay, so I remember thinking about this story. It's got to be 30 years ago. And I think the meaning of the story stood out for me. Sometimes, when you read complicated material, sometimes a piece of it will stand out. It's, for some reason, it's like it glitters, I suppose. That might be one way of thinking about it. You're in sync with it, and you can understand what it means. I've really experienced that reading the Tao Te Ching, which is a document I would really like to do a lecture on at some point. Because some of the verses I don't understand, but others stand right out and I can understand them. And I think I understood what this part of the story of Noah meant. And I think it means, we talked a little bit about what nakedness meant in the story of Adam and Eve. And the idea essentially was that to know yourself naked is to become aware of your vulnerability, your physical boundaries in time and space, and your fundamental physiological insufficiencies as they might be judged by others. So there's biological insufficiency that's sort of built into you because you're a fragile, mortal, vulnerable, half-insane creature, and that's just an existential truth. And then, of course, even merely as a human being, even with all those faults, there are faults that you have that are particular to you that might be judged harshly by the group. Well, will definitely be judged harshly by the group. And so to become aware of your nakedness is to become self-conscious and to know your limits and to know your vulnerability. And that's what is revealed to Ham when he comes across his father naked. And so the question is, what does it mean to see your father naked? And it seems to me, and especially in an inappropriate manner like this, it's as if Ham, he does the same thing that happens in the Mesopotamian creation myth when Tiamat and Apsu give rise to the first gods. They're the father of the eventual deity of redemption, Marduk. They're very careless and noisy, and they kill Apsu, their father, and attempt to inhabit his corpse. And that makes Tiamat enraged, and so she bursts forth from the darkness to do them in. It's like a precursor to the flood story, or an analog to the flood story. And I see the same thing happening here with Ham, is that he's insufficiently respectful of his father. And the question is exactly, what does the father represent? And you could say, well, there's the father that you have, and that's a human being, that's a man like other men, a man among men. But then there's the father as such, and that's the spirit of the father. And insofar as you have a father, you have both at the same time. You have the personal father that's a man among other men, just like anyone else's father. But insofar as that man is your father, that means that he's something different than just another person. And what he is the incarnation of the spirit of the Father. And to see that, to take it to what? To disrespect that carelessly. Maybe even, like Noah makes a mistake, right? He produces wine and gets himself drunk. And you might say, well, if he's sprawled out there for everyone to see, it's hardly Ham's fault if he stumbles across him. But the book is laying out a danger. And the danger is that, well, maybe you catch your father at his most vulnerable moment, and if you're disrespectful, then you transgress against the spirit of the Father. And if you transgress against the spirit of the Father and lose Spirit of the Father and lose respect for the Spirit of the Father, then that is likely to transform you into a slave. That's a very interesting idea, and I think it's particularly interesting, maybe not particularly interesting, but it's particularly germane, I think, to our current cultural situation, because I think that we're pushed constantly to see the nakedness of our Father, so to speak, because of the intense criticism that's directed towards our culture and the patriarchal culture, so to speak. We're constantly exposing its weaknesses and vulnerabilities and, let's say, nakedness. And there's nothing wrong with criticism, but the thing about criticism is the purpose of criticism is to separate the wheat from the chaff. It's not to burn everything to the ground, right? It's to say, well, we're going to carefully look at this, we're going to carefully differentiate, we're going to keep what's good and we're going to move away from what's bad. But the point of the criticism isn't to identify everything as bad, it's to separate what's good from what's bad so that you can retain what's good and move towards it. And to be careless at that is deadly, because you're inhabited by the Spirit of the Father, right? Insofar as you're a cultural construction, which of course is something that the postmodern neo-Marxists are absolutely emphatic about. You're a cultural construction. Insofar as you're a cultural construction, then you're inhabited by the Spirit of the Father, and to be disrespectful towards that means to undermine the very structure that makes you not all of what you are, certainly not all of what you are, but a good portion of what you are, insofar as you're a socialized cultural entity. And if you pull the foundation out from underneath that, what do you have left? You can hardly manage on your own. It's just not possible. You're a cultural creation. And so Ham makes this desperate error and is careless about exposing himself to the vulnerability of his father, something like that. He does it without sufficient respect. And the judgment is that not only will he be a slave, but so will all of his descendants. And he's contrasted with the other two sons who, I suppose, are willing to give their father the benefit of the doubt, something like that. And so when they see him in a compromising position, they handle it with respect and don't capitalize on it. And maybe that makes them strong. That's what it seems to me. And so I think that's what that story means.
I'd rather him just talk about the I Ching, but it's probably not going to happen.
There's something that's dreadfully right about the core elements of the Judeo-Christian tradition. And I've seen analogs to that. Like, one of the things I'd like to do, for example, is to do a short series on the Tao Te Ching, because that is one remarkable document. Once you know, especially, you might want to read it. You can go online and read it. It's very short. Tao Te Ching, Taoteaching, and it's the fundamental text of Taoism.
Yeah. I'm editing this video late at night, and I'm just little old me, alright, but I just gotta disagree real quick. The I Ching is the foundational text of Taoism. Right, okay. On with the clip.
It's the fundamental text of Taoism, and once you know that the world of being is made of chaos and order, and you know that that's represented by the yin and the yang, all of a sudden you can understand the Tao Te Ching, and it's brilliantly simple and straightforward in its exposition. But it also seems to me to be entirely commensurate with the line of let's call it logic. It's more like the mode of description of being that's encapsulated in these stories.
I need your help. Come help me. If you live in North Carolina, or you're looking to move and do these things, this is what. So yes, evolution. We want to escape the system, but also remain in the system and transform it into its true self, which is the New Jerusalem. So, yes, I realize that's a lot, but this is basically just a little update video. I really, I'm getting long-winded here, but it's basically all just to say I'm going to be driving south soon, and I hope to visit a number of people, and also I'm looking for as many collaborators as I can find. Essentially, it's not about quantity, it's about quality, but it's also about quantities a little bit sometimes, so the reign of quantity, we want to rein it in a bit. The quality, rein in the quantity. Okay, so that's that. Thank you for watching, everybody. I wish there was, I need to get some googly eyes or something for my, I think I'm gonna do that. 'Cause I'm just talking to like everyone and no one at the same time. This is so, it's so not, it's not it. Okay. The time has come to do the thing. Will you join me? Will you support me? Will you buy me a coffee? No worries if you don't, just your support. I say don't live vicariously through me, all right? I don't want any of that shit. Don't be projecting your fantasies onto me, all right? If you want to do shit like this, like a road trip, then freaking do it, or hit me up and let's do it together, all right? Like Joe, shout out Joe. Joe was like, hey, I feel like we'd get along. We want to do similar things. And I was like, let's see about that. And then we did, and it was dope. It was a lot. We did way too much. we were trying to leave a little bit earlier, but I got a speeding ticket, which caused us to leave like a month or two later than we anticipated. And then we had to cram everything in. And we drove past a lot of stuff that we wanted to stop at. However, it was great, and shout out to Joe. What a guy. It was great. And yeah, I say do it, Go touch grass, as they say. Okay. I hope this video finds you well, and it's so crazy. Let's do it. Join me in North Carolina I'm announcing it right now. They say you're not supposed to like tell people about all your plans, because then it's like too much pressure, or like you like lose the gusto or whatever to do it. But they say a lot of things. So wellness community, I'm announcing it right now. Small estuary conferences, something like that. Not precisely that, can't even see my legs, That's definitely not exactly like that. Asheville, Carolina. See you there.
But it's also like, okay, I want to be careful with this and plan it out well, because this sounds like something that I wouldn't want to just see fail within 3 to 5 years or something. I want to see 3 to 5 years. I want to see it starting to pick up steam. And
definitely.
Once we figure out how we're going to run the project from a legal standpoint, but it doesn't, it's going to have humble beginnings, but it's also going to be ambitious right from the start. So it's the humble beginnings are something that just has to happen, and then we build upon them, and build and build and build. And yeah, I think in 3 to 5 years, we're going to know whether this thing is really working or not.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So if nothing else, it'll be an adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm optimistic, and I think that the beginning is always the hardest part, or something like that. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, well, especially when you're trying to figure out exactly what you want, how you're going to begin. So, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I did the I Ching a couple of times before talking with you, and one of the hexagrams I got was 54. One of the things that it says in the hexagram is like, knowing the danger that could be produced in the long term, the superior person takes particular care about the beginning of any enterprise, and
yeah,
and I definitely think that that's wise advice, as there is much of in the I Ching, I dare suggest,
Yeah.
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 Did I ever yap about that with you, or like kind of demonstrate
Probably, but I read Lao Tzu, and I've read Christ the Eternal Tao a bunch of times.
Cool,
and it's,
yeah.
Just going through like one thing per day, and then read the next one per day, and just try to contemplate on it. And,
Yeah, I should really get that book, because I've never actually read it through, and it was definitely. Are you familiar with James Cortides?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, he has a YouTube channel, and he did like a book review of it. And
Greek Orthodox guy?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and he did a book review of it, and that's kind of what did it for me, really. It was like, I had already listened to the Peterson lectures, and I was already into Peugeot a bit and stuff, but like, that's the thing where I was like, oh, it really clicked. Like I saw the intellectual click or whatever, and
that the Tao became flesh.
So I should really get that book.
You should. I think you would really appreciate it. That could be another thing that we could do slow, like almost like Lectio Divina out of poetry, just like that, or certain parts of scripture, Psalms, something like that. I don't know.
Hell yeah.
I'd love to have a thing where we all just do sitting meditation for an hour.
Oh yeah.
Like that. For now, we've kind of generally talked about, some vague ideas about what we want to do with this estuary / spiritual meeting kind of confluence or crossroads or something like that. And that we're working on figuring out the business end. Because how to start and build a nonprofit. So I don't know. We'll have further updates for viewers.
Yeah, I'm always thinking about them.
They're sitting there anticipating, just salivating, waiting for it to come.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe let's stop the recording for now, and then Hello. Today. I have an addendum. Updates. Further information. For context, I just finished an 11-hour shift at Amazon. I'm going to stay here in Connecticut for a bit longer. I have some family and friend festivities, a couple weddings, and that's very exciting. And family picnic, there's a whole, we gotta do festivals, people. Okay. And tomorrow is the solar eclipse. Like the cosmogram we discussed earlier in this video. As you can tell, I'm a bit zealous, but this community will be open to various various types of people. You know, in fact, Dave has this idea for a estuary-like meeting group, which is more oriented towards people talking about their, you know, where they're at in their own spiritual life, whether they be churched or unchurched, as the church people say. No shade against the church people. Okay. And I might, you know, as I mentioned, I might join. Okay. Anyway, so this is context. 11-hour shift, by the way. I'm excited to move. But I have some exciting updates, which I wish to add to the end of this video as an addendum, which is that road trip is being extended. It's basically, okay, this is also take 2 of this recording. It's Estuary Road Trip Part 2, basically, except I have to finish the first road trip. Dave and I are I'm going to drive to Dave in North Carolina, and then we're going to drive together to the Sacramento Estuary Conference. So that's exciting news. Dave and I are going to drive to Sacramento for the Estuary Conference. Yippee! And perhaps there will be vlogs. I'm so excited. It's Estuary Road Trip Part 2. Okay, and also we might do a business instead of a non-profit, as I mentioned, with the coffee shop. Okay, so that's the update. Happy Eclipse Day. Goodbye for now. Much love. Much love. Okay, stay tuned.